Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Running the Gauntlet here in Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. Today, we are finishing out the shorter than I expected it to be Phase 2 gauntlets with the level 90 Darkness and Light gauntlet. This one's a little bit longer than some of the other ones, and actually took me a little bit longer to get the full clear rewards, but that's why I'm here with this 13 or so minute video to help you understand what you need to be prepared for as you go in to claim your own set of rewards with this. So let's walk through the 5 different segments and the 4 different clear conditions. The first section of this gauntlet is pretty straightforward. You've only got 3 minutes on the timer, but a lot of the progress here is widely skippable. So if you have a character that can fly, teleport, or otherwise has increased movement value, all you need to do is get to this section of the Dark Dimension, where in the main story quest you have your first interaction with Elsa Bloodstone. You then need to defeat a total of 25 enemies, and you can reach the clear condition that you need in order to move on from this first phase of that gauntlet. The enemies don't go down as easy as some of the ones that we've seen in previous gauntlet runs that we've done, probably due to the fact that this is a higher difficulty gauntlet at the level 90 difficulty. But it's still pretty simple, and I am resorting a lot of my use to Thanos Infinite, mainly because there is a lot of damage that he is able to output, and he can freeze most, if not all, of the enemies that we confront in his 2 different abilities, the one that sucks them all in and replenishes his health and EP meter, and then the other one that freezes them in place as he unleashes a devastating attack in a large circle area around him. So with a couple of final attacks here, we will have everything finished out in order to clear this one, and with that last heavy attack, we can indeed move on to the second section, which is going to be a fight ultimately against Morbius, but we have 2 minutes on the clock. We regain time back onto that timer based off of the difficulty of the enemies that we defeat, and there are a couple of mandatory combat sections such as this one here where we need to defeat the 2 demons down there, as well as the arcane artifact that's right here. And I do switch off of Thanos Infinite and start using a couple of synergy attacks with the other members of my team, and we will touch on that a little bit later. But for now, we can go ahead and zip right on through this portal here, and even on through into the next section. All of these areas along this pathway are non-mandatory combat sections, so as we zip through the portals, we will eventually come to the arena where we would normally find Doctor Strange, and remember that because it will be important later. But in this iteration, we will actually be confronting Morbius, and Morbius has the Phoenix Force power increase assessed to him. So we use our extreme attacks to take him down to around or just past the halfway point of his health, and then swap over to a couple of our other team members to take on a few of our extreme attacks. And Morbius is hitting very, very hard in this section, so you do want to be a little bit cautious. You'll see that Wolverine is down to about his 35% health mark, and unfortunately just took the power decrease down from Morbius there. Swapping off of him probably saved his life, as the opponents or members of your team that you are not actively controlling will have decreased damage done to them. And Gambit was looking a little bit low in his energy points, so we swapped off onto Thanos Infinite to deal the last couple of attacks and the necessary damage there. Section number 3 is the longest, at least for the team setup that I had, for 2 different reasons. First off, you have about 6.5 minutes on that timer, and you need to progress into the final confrontation area and defeat 10 mighty enemies, which are the energy elementally charged mindless ones. So not these big fire, electric, and ice ones, but the others that drop the crystals that can then be energized and used against them for your own team's benefit. To progress through here, you need to take down this arcane artifact over the flame here in this corner of the map. You then need to progress to the back side of this arena. You can just see that the rift has disappeared back there. As soon as you make your way back through that rift, you will be teleported up to take down the electricity arcane artifact, and once you have this taken down on the pedestal just down below to the left, you will be able to take on the ice arcane artifact as well. So while we are finishing out that, as the rest of this rift is pretty straightforward and the time constraint is very generous, there's no other quirks that you need to be aware of for this leg, let's go ahead and touch on some of the clear conditions that you need to be aware of in order to claim the full rewards from this section of the combat. The first, of course, is clearing out the 5 sections of the Gauntlet sequentially and getting through that once. That will grant you the first round of clear condition rewards. The second is acquiring the Phoenix Force 10 times or more, and you should be able to claim that within one run of the Gauntlet if you are focusing on it, as you should have at least 3 or 4 opportunities to claim and activate the Phoenix Force on different members of your team through that combat section. But if you are unable to, do not worry, because you will need to run this a couple of different times in order to have a chance to get the other 2 clear conditions, which one of them is defeating 45 powerful enemies, and this combat section we're looking at now does classify these opponents as being powerful, so taking these 10 out does indeed count toward that milestone of getting 45 powerful enemies. I was able to get that in about 1.5 clears of the Gauntlet, and that's what brings us to the 4th and final clear condition that we need to touch on, which is dealing 3 million or more damage with synergy attacks. That is not impossible by any means. It did take me a little bit longer because Thanos Infinite's attacks and abilities do not synergize with any other characters, and that is because they are so powerful in what they can do. So it doesn't come as a huge surprise. That is why I needed to, wherever possible, swap over to the different members of my team and dole out the ability damage and synergy attacks with them in order to make sure that I was working my way towards that 3 million attack damage. It took me about 3 runs through the Gauntlet to get that. I'm confident that if you are using a different team, or if there's another team that you are more adept and more experienced with using that does not include Thanos Infinite carrying most, if not all, of the combat, you can also get that cleared out in much shorter time than what I had to. We're just finishing out the last couple of attacks that we need to take down these opponents. There's just 2 more left to take on here, and I'm trying to replenish Wolverine's energy points here so I can continue to ramp up the damage that I'm dealing with my abilities and synergies, synergies more particularly, but that is not always something that is possible to be done. And be cautious with these guys because they also can explode as they become charged, as that can be an additional roadblock that may be unexpected as you seek to progress through these sections of that combat. With a couple of final attacks here, we should be able to lay into this guy and finish him out. And with a few of these adamantium uppercuts, we've got the last of the 10 required enemies in this 3rd section taken down. We can now progress on to section number 4, which is going to be the end goal of defeating Blade, but there are a couple of sections that we need to take on before then. This is pretty much right off the top of the main story quest or the main story quest path from the Dark Dimension, where you need to take out the Fire Arcane Artifact, then progress on to the Electricity Arcane Artifact and take on the Ice Arcane Artifact, all on a 1-by-1 basis. I do take a slight detour here to take out this Sentinel, not because he would have followed me or caused any other nuisances, but because he is imbued with the Phoenix Force, and I was looking to take that as an opportunity to claim the Phoenix Force as one of the 10 claims that we need to make over the course of this Gauntlet progress. With that power claimed, we can now progress on to taking out the Electricity Arcane Artifact, which is going to be over here off to the right side of this branch. And one thing you do need to keep in mind with these Sentinels, and really any enemy that has the Phoenix Force enchantment imbued onto them, is they do have these little fire missiles that will track you down. They home onto you from quite a far distance away. You don't see it really happening as much here with Thanos Infinite on this instance because all of my other team members stayed back with them to continue competing, but we also double back a little bit to help them out, mainly because I'm looking for more opportunities to use the Phoenix Force imbuement with the rest of my team and amplify the 10 applications that we're aiming for. But if it weren't for that, we would just simply progress back behind where the camera is currently angled to the final portal up there that'll take us up to take down the Ice Arcane artifact that's up on the ledge here. And you see here that now my entire team, except Thanos Infinite, has that Phoenix Force power imbuement activated. And with one final jump there, we do make it into the portal, and we do use a couple of Thanos Infinite's heavy attacks to take out this Arcane artifact. You do need to be a little bit cautious, as the ice that falls down from the sky can knock you down off of the ledge. But as long as you are aware as that is something that can happen, and you switch onto a different member of your team quickly enough, you shouldn't really have too many other issues with that. Unlocking that final Arcane artifact and closing down that rift will allow you to progress onto the Hellfire Rift, which is the place where you first run into Ghost Rider during the main story quest. And I do take, again, a slight and minor detour to take out this Sentinel here to claim that Phoenix Force imbuement for Thanos Infinite, and accidentally picking up a Sentinel core in the process. But as soon as you drop down below here, Blade will appear also with the Phoenix Force imbuement. And I do just unleash all of my extreme attacks to get as much damage out as I can as early and as quickly as possible. This doesn't go quite as well initially, but we do end up taking him down to about the 30% mark, which is quite nice. And then I swap over to other members of my team so I can lay in with as many synergy attacks as I can to further increase the damage that we're dealing and contributing towards that 3 million or more that is needed for that clear condition reward. And this brings us to the fifth and final leg of this gauntlet, which is technical, but it's also probably one of the easiest, especially if you have the vitality enchantments that allow you to regain health based off of damage that you're dealing to your opponents, especially because Doctor Strange here, he hits very hard, but the only meaningful damage that you are going to do in the course of this fight is with your extreme attacks. So as we launch our extreme attacks down onto Doctor Strange, we initially take off 35 to 40% of his health, and as he is recovering, we lay into him with a couple more of our heavy attacks from Thanos Infinite, because that is going to allow us to build up that extreme gauge a lot quicker. He does seem to become immune to being staggered out by Thanos Infinite's extreme attack as we continue to lay those attacks into him, but it's not the end of the world at the end of the day, as we can continue to take him on and knock him down as we progress through this fight. And really, this just comes a matter of making sure that Doctor Strange does not dash away to the other side of the arena as we are confronting him. And with a couple final of our extreme attacks here, we'll have what it takes to take down the remainder of Thanos, or Doctor Strange's health, with the help of Thanos Infinite here. We use the extreme attack from Miles Morales, but because it has such a long startup, it deals less damage than I would have otherwise hoped. But detonating the extreme attack from Wolverine is going to be more than enough to finish this out. And that is everything that you need to know for the level 90 Darkness and Light Gauntlet run. If you found this informative, enjoyable, or helpful, please feel free to hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more daily content from Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and other wonderful games. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.